So good morning. First of all, I want to wish President Trump a happy birthday. Maybe many people don't know, but it's no coincidence to me that President Trump's birthday is on Flag Day. That's quite an amazing coincidence. Secondly, I want to honor President Trump before I do anything here. Without President Trump, we would not have had a country left to defend. He saved this country. And I like to say to anyone that's running against him, first, you should honor him for what he did. If you think you can do better after that, that's up to you. But President Trump, he's well versed. He ended all the threats to us without firing a single shot. So this day, on Flag Day, everything is dedicated to him and thanks to him. We can't wait until 2024 and really hope to survive. There's too many people coming into the country, so we have to act now. While President Trump campaigns, we have to pick up the slack and finish the fight that he started. We must reclaim our sovereignty in God's name before it's too late. The call has come. Time is running out to rescue our nation. We the people, the inheritors of our founding fathers' decrees, must determine now what happens between the hands of the clock. Our politicians are not keeping time by the same clock as those who are determined to destroy us. Now is the time to confront this enemy, this Goliath, who is eroding our nation, our values, our families, our beliefs. While his power and strength seems impenetrable, it's an illusion. Victory does not depend on what our enemies do, nor does victory is independent of them altogether. Rather, it is what we do, what steps we take to overcome this beast who will harvest victory regardless of actions and attempts to defy us or deter us. If we continue to react to their misguided, godless efforts and respond to each infraction upon our rights, if we get caught up in this minutia, we will lose our focus on what actions we must advance in order to guarantee our victory over tyranny. It's not too late. Too many people believe that the time is past and that we're all now facing the abyss. Don't worry. We're not too late. We're right on time. God's time, when it is always darkest before the dawn. The dawn begins when the first light shines over the horizon. That one tiny dot, that mere beam, breaks through the dominant, imposing darkness and ignites the spark which becomes the sunlight which lights up the day. George Washington was at Valley Forge. He was at his lowest point. His army was a ragtag army and just got enough training but had hardly any food. Great Britain, on the other hand, enjoyed a large war chest, a well-trained army, and the strongest naval force on the earth. In their arrogance, they felt they were invincible. They let down their guard. And in the darkness of night, Washington crossed the Delaware, emerged from the darkness, flushed them out of their dwellings into the daylight, where he caught them off guard and gained victory. Now we find ourselves at our own Valley Forge, facing an enemy that believes their power is greater than God's, that their laws surpass the moral and righteous teachings of the Bible, and that they, in fact, have exceeded God. That, my friends, is the definition of tyranny. The most corrupt, most immoral, most hateful government which exists in this administration today has declared war on God and all his rulers' laws embodied in our Constitution. Those laws protect us against the godless ones, Satan's armies, who've declared war on God and his children since biblical times. You take God out of the picture, what remains? Tyranny. That is why we must protect an institution from those who would come to power and shred these laws, God's laws, that would deny us our God-given rights. On June 17th, on Flag Day, the symbol of our freedoms, our coat of arms, our triumph over tyranny, our glorious quest, we will cross the Benjamin Franklin Bridge in the cover of the night, flags flying, and march into Philadelphia before the dawn, plant our flags, stake our claim. We will let them know we are going to reclaim our documents of freedom, being held there by an administration who hates America and is determined to destroy everything in America that she stands for, including our documents of freedom. This is the spark that will send the engines of liberty in motion to spread across America, to reawaken our citizenry to their true identity as freedom-loving people for liberty and justice for all. We cannot let them destroy the vision that our founders and Martin Luther King to make sure that this would be a nation of liberty and justice for all. America has awakened. This is our shot to be heard around the world to those who no longer fear our resolve. America is back, and even greater than before. This is our shot, which will be heard around the world, that America is back to those who no longer fear our resolve. And it's even greater than before under the leadership of President Trump. One of the real meetings why we're going down there, I can't understand why we couldn't hold our convention in that Philadelphia Convention Center. That's where all our documents of liberty are founded. That's where our country started this battle from. That's a sanctuary city, and they're holding everything hostage. And we're marching in there to let them know not only are we going to hold a convention there in the future under Donald Trump, but we're going to come back and make sure those documents are under our purview, not yours. And that's where we're marching in. We're the first crew. We're the ones that are staking out our claim. We're going ahead of all the rest. We're the scouts that are going in and to let them know what's coming to them.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Constitution for which our free republic stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, free from tyranny, and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Three days ago on the news in California, I saw the most disgusting thing I ever saw in this nation. I've been here 78 years, but people have been living in America over 200 years and nothing like this has ever been seen. We have to know that we're in a revolution, with a counterculture revolution, and they're taking everything with us without firing a single shot. Remember what Khrushchev said? We will take over you without firing a single shot. And that is exactly what's going on. They had the police out there in California, and they had the counterculture flag, the rainbow flag in the center, and to the right they had the American flag, and to the left they had the American flag, and they were saluting it. That's the last straw. That's why on Flag Day I'm saying this. The strongest weapon in the United States is a patriot. Destroy the remnants and symbols of people's traditions, and you erase their history as if it never existed. America is disappearing. The Democrats' endeavor to establish America as an entitlement nation has robbed us of our identity, our pride, and now is robbing us of our freedom. We must fight to reclaim our identity, which makes us exceptional amongst the nations. We need to be bold. We need swagger. We need to plant our flag and stake our claim. Let the enemies know from within they are living on borrowed time, for America has awakened. The American flag is the symbol of our freedom. There are those who wish to dishonor and destroy the symbols we embrace that represents our culture of freedom. There is one symbol that rises above the rest: our flag. It symbolizes the spilt blood of our military that has fought to keep our nation free. It is our flag that carries into every battlefield, then planted and raised as our warriors for justice secure a resounding victory over those who would trample on our freedoms and bound us to tyranny's post. Our flag is a symbol of that invincible spirit of those patriotic Americans who have pledged to withstand any assault, no matter what the odds, no matter what the cost. Our national anthem is a testament to that spirit. As Flag Day approached last year, I noticed there were no major parades scheduled in our cities and our capital. 30 years ago, I marched in a parade and had led it. I marched and led a parade up 6th Avenue. There were 500,000 people in attendance. Every year after that, there were parades across America painting the face of America red, white, and blue. How come? How could it be like at this time like none other, when there has been an endless attack on a free republic by those who disrespect our flag, our national anthem, and the Constitution of the United States of America? The foundation upon which our free republic stands was just treated like another day by our leaders. At this point, I knew there must be a resurgence of patriotic spirit. If we are to overcome the Democrats, the forces of tyranny from within, it must be one that creates volcanic tremors of righteousness in order to shake us loose from tyranny's grip. There must be a grand awakening to bring a reversal of the most dire circumstances, and it must happen now. Our current political institutions and think tanks are not responding quickly enough to meet this immediate challenge. They are not keeping time on the same clock of those who wish to destroy our free republic. The phrase "under God" was incorporated into the Pledge of Allegiance on June 14th, that's Flag Day, 1954, by a joint resolution of Congress amending the number 4 of the Flag Day Code enacted in 1942. Now, some 70 years later, the battle for the soul of our nation is raging. We're facing a godless communist insurrection within, whose attack on our Constitution mirrors the same systematic attack on America by our worst enemies. They are shredding our laws of governance and denying us our God-given rights. When those that changed the pledge in 1954, they did not get congressional approval at first. When they recited it and people heard it, it spread like wildfire across the land. Only then did it get congressional approval. The final revision of our Pledge of Allegiance resonates like the sound of the Liberty Bell when ringing, unleashing the full power of we the people that is needed to dislodge this communist insurrection. America is the forerunner of a final Exodus decree, inhabited by the pathfinders of justice from every race who gathered here with a mission to brave hardships of all kinds in order to clear the road for enlightenment and harmony for the rest of the world. We are entering an era where the existence of our free republic, from which the light of liberty emanates, is about to be extinguished by those from the forces of tyranny from within. No matter how bleak it may look, do not stand down. Rejoice. The reason that God put us here is to fight this godless insurgency. This was the purpose of our nation was founded on. God's plan to triumph over tyranny and those who promote it. Have faith. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. Thomas Jefferson. This is the meaning of a true American patriot, one who is overjoyed to have this opportunity to fill this dream of this timeless promise. Only one has grasped this concept, can truly love and fight to fulfill the commitment this country had made from the outside, to close the divide of any of those who would separate us from liberty's grand design, until all unify under our flag's original intent. One nation, under God, freed from tyranny, for liberty and justice for all. This is our flag, our coat of arms, our glorious quest.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Constitution for which our free republic stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, free from tyranny, and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Preserving liberty's blessings for every future generation. One day I was campaigning with a friend running for office, and a young man came up to me and said, "What is the intent of the founders?" I said, "Wow, what a question. I never heard that before." And I said, "To triumph over tyranny." And that's exactly what they did when they gained victory in a war of independence in order to gain the full measure of our freedoms. What is tyranny? In the dictionary it says, it's government oppression. And I say, that's true, but it's more than that. Tyranny is a tool to use a mandate of a governance through submission, conquest, domination, and then extinction. Hatred is their tool, rule of law, to exterminate what they consider parasites, infecting their fascist and evil-embracing world order, which is in direct contrast to the concept promoted by our founding fathers. Now, when we think of tyranny, we always think, who is right? Who's supporting the Constitution? That's all. Or when we go into court, we say, everyone's equal under the law. But there's something that we never question. What produces politicians and people of nations that would turn to tyranny to destroy each other? So the question comes, where does tyranny arise from? What is the seed that provides its roots for the source of their nourishment? The Bible introduces us to the destruction that ensues through tyranny, when man, instead of honoring the sovereignty of God, uses his mortal power, demanding allegiance to him instead of God, as he fashions God in his own image. These are the false idols that our children are worshiping now in the Democratic Party. These dominions of oppression that carry the seeds of rebellion are found in every fascist totalitarian nation: Russia, China, Cuba, North Korea. These are the godless nations that would deny your God-given rights endowed to us by our Creator. Their Constitution's rule of law is tyranny. Our Constitution's rule of law is a declaration of war on tyranny upon those who would come to power, strike down our amendments that secure our freedom, then eternally bound us to tyranny's post. The phrase "under God" was incorporated into the Pledge of Allegiance in June 14, 1954, by a joint resolution of Congress amending the No. 4 Code, enacted in 1941 to defend against the spread of communism. With the attack from our present administration, who are determined to shred our Constitution, it's now time to make defending our Constitution as part of our alleged allegiance to keep our nation one nation under God. It's now 70 years later, and we're facing a godless communist insurrection. Like those who changed the pledge in 1954, I knew that there was something missing in our Pledge of Allegiance to make sure that we remain one nation under God. That is why I added the Constitution upon which our free republic stands. George Washington said, "The Constitution is the guideline I will never abandon." While we may never be able to repay the debt we owe to our military, we must ensure they did not serve in vain. That is why we, the people, the recipients of their valor, are duty-bound to consecrate their lives with our eternal pledge to protect the Constitution of the United States of America, the foundation upon which our free republic stands. Only then can we continue to enjoy their hard-won and our guaranteed freedoms. That is why before every meeting we should recite this final revision of our Pledge of Allegiance. So every day we go forth with the all-consuming pledge to defend the Constitution of the United States of America from this enemy from within. They are determined to destroy our foundation along our free republic less. President Kennedy said in his inaugural address in 1960, "With good conscience as our only reward, with the seeds of rebellion we find in our Judeo-Christian history, the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead this land we love, asking His blessings and His help, but knowing here on earth God's work must truly be our own. It is our Constitution and its laws that connects our power to the source that keeps our free republic intact. This power source provides the spiritual component that connects the souls who do God's work here on earth. This stance against tyranny finds its root in our American biblical point of departure that defines America's core values and sustains the lifeblood of liberty's degrees. Our rule of law is the power source from which our nation gains its strength, its invincibility, its clarity of purpose, its moral purpose. This rule of law is a power source from which our nation gains its strength, its invincibility, its clarity of purpose, its moral compass, and its indomitable, enduring spirit. It is our core value, the glue that binds us to liberty's decrees. This one principle is the unifying principle that keeps our free republic intact, and why every American citizen, and certainly every American elected official that represents our nation, must thoroughly understand what it means. The proper application of our rule of law instantly dissolves any misunderstandings, confusion, or misguided notions about any policy or law that steers us away from our nation's noble cause. trying to explain the purpose of our existence, or to make why we are great again, without bringing clarity to the Constitution's rule of law, is like giving a flashlight to a blind person to help them find their way out of the darkness. It will become obvious without the basic understanding of the Constitution's whose rule of law secures the foundation upon which our free republic rests. Our ship of state will eventually be ripped from its moorings and list aimlessly among the waves. If our politicians are unable to properly elucidate what is our rule of law, how can they articulate what America stands for either? We then have to ask ourselves, why were they elected? What are they swearing an oath to? If they do not believe our rule of law, our stance against global tyranny is our constitutional mandate, and why they took an oath to uphold the Constitution. No nation can continue to exist without some oath of allegiance that identifies their protocol. Why does this oath have such a powerful impact on the nation? Because it provides the simplest, most concise format for capturing the essence of a nation's convictions that all citizens can rally around. That is why one's oath of allegiance is such a powerful agent in determining the history of a nation and their impact on the world now and in the future. What we give our allegiance to as a people defines what we stand for and what we will defend against. It represents the individuals of our nation, even to the extent of risking their lives in a war to defend its principles. The essence of this allegiance is revealed in the simplest form by the pledge that citizens give to their country and their flag. This pledge leaves no doubt to what position each nation takes among the world concerning their type of governments that they embrace to protect their citizens' right or lack of. That is why the final revision of our Pledge of Allegiance must be recited in our children in our schools across the nation. Of course, we must teach civics. Of course, we must teach the history of our country. But you can only secure liberty's blessing in every generation when our children recite this pledge every day. Because then they will know what the Constitution is, they will know what the rule of law, and they will know why we are one nation under God, and we can secure liberty's blessing against those demons from hell that would come and steal our governance and shred our rule of laws and change it to their own. Then you will lose all your freedoms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Constitution for which our free republic stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, free from tyranny, and justice for all. Thank you very much.
What I'm going to tell you now, you have never heard before. It's never been said. It's about the rule of law. I'd like you to consider something, why defending the Constitution is the only way forward in order to secure our liberties. We are one nation under God, domain. We are governed by His laws. That determines our freedoms. The question is, can anyone say what the Constitution is in 8 words? No one's ever said it. I can say it. The Constitution is a declaration of war on tyranny. Then what's tyranny? You all know what tyranny is. those that have declared war on God's laws and his people since biblical times. Who are they? They're the ones that would shred our Constitution and replace their laws with ours. What are their laws? To deny our freedom of press, to deny our redress of grievances. Every amendment in the Constitution would disappear. The declaration of war on tyranny is why we can keep all our amendments intact from this attack. That is the rule of law. The Constitution stands against tyranny of those godless ones that would come to power and strip us of our freedoms. The rest, all the amendments, everything that you want to listen and study there, is how we use them against the godless ones and keep our freedoms. The last thing I'd like to talk about, I think, is essential that we understand. There are many people in the churches, wonderful pastors, giving their people hope for eternal life. And they say, just believe in God, and we can change everything. Just believe in God. Even one pastor, very famous, said, tell your leader, your allegiance is to God. That's it. I wonder if that pastor really knew what he was saying. If there's one place in the world where evil can gain a foothold in humanity, it's in politics, especially in America, where our rule of law is to prevent the advancement of tyranny in this world. What happens if you don't go out and vote? Then Satan himself will be sitting in the seat of liberty. You will be vanquished. Why? Because the Democratic Party will be at the head of our government, and they will shred our laws. That is why we must get out and vote and prevent them from ever again gaining control on our country. We have to get out and vote and vanquish them. If you think, like most people, oh, the politicians are corrupt, there's nothing we can do. That's Biden. He's telling you there's nothing you can do. Don't vote. It's okay. America is no good anyhow. That's the devil. Get out and vote. That's the only way we can preserve our freedoms without a civil war. And let me remind you, if we have a civil war here in America, the whole world collapses. The stock markets go down. No one will believe in our dollar. It doesn't work. Free market enterprise. Why invest? It's not here anymore. That's the only reason our dollar is valuable. That's the only reason we produce great goods. When I was selling General Electric CAT scans, I went to Canada. They were 20 years behind us. Why? Because they had a socialized government. And then no one bid on their equipment. So people, they didn't care, and the government was in cahoots, and so they never progressed. Even if you go to an Israeli or an Arab market, everyone's out there finagling. What are they finagling about? How to get the best goods, how to get the lowest price, how to make something better. That's America. That's capitalism. Please understand, that's the only way we can keep our freedoms. So I must remind you, get out and vote. And if any religious leader says, oh, you don't have to, or you give your allegiance to God. Of course you give your allegiance to God for your salvation. But when you're talking about a nation, your allegiance is to protect God's laws here on earth, embodied in that Constitution. Because all rules of laws of God's laws are the rule of all our laws. And the Constitution's declaration of war on tyranny is God's rule of law. So, Once you stand against tyranny, you stand with God. Thank you very much.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Constitution for which our free republic stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, free from tyranny, and justice for all. Thank you very much.